academically. We're so pleased to see great signs of recovery, but also know how important these improvement plans are to set goals and monitor them. We see this in our benchmark data, in the amount of referrals being made to our guidance office, in how teachers have restructured their daily class routines to include more mindfulness activities and social emotional lessons, and a calming room addition to our school. We continue to help our students and their families maintain a very important sense of stability. Every single staff member recognizes the importance of building strong relationships with their students, and at any time you will see staff members go out of their way to check in with a student or a family to ensure that they have what they need. Just this fall of this school year, we partnered with Cradles to Crayons, gave each student a backpack filled with school supplies. 40 pairs of new Nike sneakers were given to our families through the organization Shoes That Fit, donated by Nordstrom. 45 of our Atherton Howe families received a Thanksgiving dinner recently, courtesy of Wahlburgers, and countless winter coats and winter clothing was distributed from Cradles to Crayons. We just finished our first term of school, and we recognized 83 students, K to 5, that have been to school every day of this term. That's 33% of our students. We tell our students and our families every day, they hear me say it every morning on the announcements, we're happy to see them and we're glad that they're there. Our student perceptions of our school climate is also important. As you can see, our vocal data from grade 4 and 5 is relatively consistent from the year before. Students feel cared about, know their teachers are proud of them, and support them even when their work is not their best. The dips this year in the data are noted from deciding school rules, students feeling comfortable talking about something that's bothering them, and controlling their feelings. If you're becoming more familiar with the new IEP format, you know an important component is having the student vision included, in addition to the family and team vision. Recently, at an IEP annual review meeting I attended, a primary student's vision was shared. In response to this year, I Want to Learn, it was, I want to learn about division and multiplication. Addition and subtraction are too easy. I also want to learn more about emotions and how two emotions go together. Like when you're frustrated, it's a feeling of sadness and anger. And in response to, by the time I finish elementary or middle school, the student said, I want to learn more about science and become a scientist when I am older, and I would like to build a robot. We know by listening to our students, their needs, their voice, support sustaining a positive school climate and significantly impacts learning by creating a safe and supportive environment where students feel valued, leading to increased engagement with families, better attendance, improved academic performance, and a greater sense of belonging. You probably know that we're the smallest elementary school in Quincy. We have 18 classes. 10 of those classes are general education classes, and 8 are substantially separate classes. For the general education classes, we have 2 classes at grades 1, 2, 4, and 5, 1 general education kindergarten, and a unique split of grade 3. Students are split for academic content in smaller groups and combined for homeroom and academic programs. Our 8 substantially separate classes include both classes of the transitional kindergarten program and 6 classes as part of the citywide language development program. Our citywide substantially separate classes include 26% of our student enrollment. I always like to acknowledge this as it illustrates the amount of special education students at each grade, particularly the number of those students participating in our benchmark and statewide assessments. And as you review our goal reflection, it's helpful to understand this collaborative effort and planning between general education teachers and special education teachers throughout the school. In addition, we all work to support a positive learning environment. We plan important action steps that take considerable collaboration and intentional planning. This includes important considerations in our schedule, building a WIN intervention block, coordinating with services, service providers, support blocks, and resources, and having our school goals and action steps as important components for our teachers as they set their own professional and student learning goals. I'd like to share some takeaways of last year's goals as we move into this year, if time allows. Okay. Specifically for ELA, as you can read in the goal analysis, we had an MCAS, MAP, and MCAS goal for ELA last year, similar to what we've set forth in this school improvement plan. As you can read in the goal analysis, we met our K-3 M-class goal in grades kindergarten, first, and second by significantly decreasing the amount of students in the well below risk level. Our goal was to see a 5% decrease in grade 3. However, we did not meet this goal in grade 3. We had a 2% increase. For MAP, I had shared last year, we are spending a lot of time looking at the school profile achievement reports in math and looking to reduce the number of students in our lowest percentile bands. So we've set goals in reading and math using these reports. We did not meet this goal for ELA based on MAP performance. We do spend a lot of time looking at these reports. We use them in our ILT meetings to help tier students along with other data points. For ELA or reading, our goal was to move at least 15% of students out of the lowest percentile. At the beginning of the year, 50% of our students in grades 2, 3, 4, and 5 were in the 40th percentile. At the end of the year, a decrease of 2%, 48% were scoring in the 40th percentile or below. We did set a similar math goal. I'm just going to show that to you visually. We did meet our math goal for moving our students out of the lowest percentiles. We were looking again to move 15% out of the red and the orange, or the lowest 40%. We did meet this goal in math with 19%, or 31 students moved out of these lowest percentile bands. Similar to ELA, we also set a goal for MAP in grades 2 through 5 to demonstrate positive growth as measured by the RIT score from the fall to the spring. In all grades 2 through 5 met or exceeded their RIT growth goal in reading and math. We are going to continue with the school achievement profile reports for this year. For MCAS, for both ELA and math, we focused on raising proficiency in the percentage of points specifically earned on selected response items. Our goal was an increase of 4% at each grade. We made our goal in grade 4 for ELA. However, we saw a decrease in grades 3 and 5 for ELA and at all tested grades in math. As you can see, we are hoping to keep this goal for selected response for increasing proficiency for this school year. We were disappointed to see our MCAS proficiency level decrease from the last few years as we were making solid gains in earning proficiency levels in science closer to the district and state. While we did meet our MAP goal for science in grade 5, and we just missed it by 1/10 of a point in grade 4, we continue to enhance and dedicate our efforts in science instruction at all grades. So while we celebrate many GLOWs, we're committed to continue to grow. As you can see, many similar goals are proposed this year. I'm proud to present this school improvement plan as a result of meaningful planning and collaboration. You may have noticed, if you received the school improvement plan in color, a picture of many of our staff at our first assessment team meeting this year, wearing pink as we support one of our fine colleagues out this year on medical leave. You'll also see a page of pictures highlighting action steps already in full force for term 1. We are doing hard work every day. We are also thrilled with the many physical improvements in the school building this year as well. The school is bright and bursting with positive energy, and we're happy for you to visit anytime, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from my colleagues? Ms. Perdios.
Thank you so much for preparing the plan and for presenting it to us tonight. just had some questions. Was there the percentage of your students that are receiving special ed services or in separate classrooms, are they, is it higher than in years past?
It has always been, well, I guess within the last 3 to 4 years, we have increased the number of substantially separate classes, but we've always kind of wavered between 20 and 25%.
Okay. I'm just trying to, to make sense of, and you're not alone in this, where the MAP data is showing a lot of growth, but the MCAS data is just, it's going down to a point where when you compare it to the state, it's starting to get far enough away that it makes me a little uncomfortable. And I'm wondering if having such a population in your school, that's going to affect test scores, right? I mean, that's, and maybe this is more of a question for Dr. Perkins. I'm wondering, would it make sense to separate out and just do test scores for the general ed classes? Would anything like that make sense so that it would be easier to sort of see what's, to be able to target any gains? Because you can't teach it the same way, right? The same goal shouldn't apply in a general ed classroom.
It's a great question, and we actually are able to do that through the DC portal, the Edwin Analytics. We're able to kind of drill down and look better at our population, students with disabilities and students without disabilities. So we usually, as we put forth goals, it's usually a school-wide goal of, all grade 3 or all grade 4. But when we look at it at assessment teams, when we look at it by class or gen ed, we do look at it that way.
Okay.
To get a better handle on our proficiency levels and where our needs are.
For sure. I think that would be really helpful to kind of see if that's what's causing that a little bit, which would be a little, like I say, a little more understandable, a little bit, I could make sense of that a little bit more, where it seems like the action steps seem solid, you know what I mean? And it's just, like you say, you had made really good gains, and just seeing some of those drop or like cut in half, from last year was, I'm sure, frustrating for you, but also just trying to delve into why, and, maybe looking at the numbers a little differently could help with us understanding that a little bit better. And then just, your vocal data seemed, similar, in line with the district. Just did show a little bit of, student-peer interaction, but that seemed to be district-wide. So that's something I think we all have to work at. All the schools probably are shooting to target and focus
right.
on. And then I think my only other question, just kind of blow through here, sorry. Wrote them all down earlier today. You had, for your class sizes, you had that you had all pretty low class sizes, but I heard kind of anecdotally that there is a class of in grade 3 that might be a little larger. That's not reflected on there. Could you maybe talk about that a little bit?
Yep, it's listed in the notes there that our grade 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see
Oh,
that.
that's okay. It's under there. So our grade 3 general education class currently has 26 students. It has fluctuated since kindergarten, increasing and decreasing. So when we were leaving in the spring, we were keeping a good eye on those numbers. And short of having 2 homerooms of 13 students, what we did was got creative with our resources. And all of the 26 students are in 1 homeroom. They travel together for their academic programs, music, phys ed, library. They're at lunch together, recess. But then we split them in small groups for all the content: math, reading, science, and social studies. Doing that, it might not seem like a lot of time to have them go to specialist and every homeroom together, but it allows us to use that other 3rd grade teacher to support our 4th grade for some additional math intervention, which we needed.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't know if you needed any support in that area, but if you're feeling like you're good there, then.
Yeah, I mean, we're keeping an eye on the numbers, and so far it's working out well, and we're happy to have that other teacher freed up a little bit to support grade 4.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I just have a couple of comments and questions. One question, I don't even think this is for you, it's probably for Erin, but there are a couple of schools that are having problems with selected response questions. And is it a content gap or is it a skill gap? Can we figure that out? No.
Yeah, I can say two. Well, for us, we chose selected response last year because, our proficiency was lower, and we were really trying to look carefully at each standard and where we were falling, and there really wasn't anything specific. I had my math team and my ELA really look through those reports, and we couldn't find anything solid that we were falling apart on. It just seemed to be consistently selected response and maybe more test taking skills, looking for like the red herring, eliminating answers. We've been trying to do that a lot, even in CKLA, our unit assessments, the assessments in IM, highlighting keywords and things like that. More test taking skills is where we kind of were approaching it.
Okay, thank you. I just couldn't figure out if there was some way we could help with that.
Yeah, I agree with Principal Moreira. I do think it's exposure to that style of question, which, is not kind of typical in what we do with some of our tests. So I do, so I do think that it is exposure, and which is why I think a lot of the principals have identified that. I think if you asked most of them, they would agree, not necessarily the content, it's the idea of like, Principal Moreira said, eliminating answers and which one is correct. They try to throw you some tricky ones in there, and I think it's just kids, multiple choices.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for a long time. But so, yeah, the part A, part B, and then you don't get credit, if you get half of it right. So it's definitely a different style of question.
I know we've been working hard across the district on the writing response and the constructed response. And this is another skill, I guess, that,
It absolutely is, and I think, that's why so many of our principals and schools are working on it.
working on that. Yeah, that's good.
Why do we need those kind of questions? Can't we be straightforward?
I like the idea of the makerspace too. That's terrific. That's really a terrific thing. Accountability data, the chronic absenteeism is great. You really have done a great job with that. I'm wondering why there was no EL number for progress towards goals, where they do have percentage of EL students, but there's no,
Yeah. I don't think you had enough. Principal Moreira did not have enough to make a subgroup.
okay, to make a.
I think you have to have 20 in order to make a subgroup.
So your accountability data is good. The growth is great. I mean, you're taking the kids where you find them and you're moving them on, so I'm happy with that. I mean, the MCAS just doesn't reflect that at all. It really doesn't, and it's not accountable. It's not actionable for the kids who we have in front of you. So the other stuff is much more important to me, but I'm really happy to see that growth. It's really good. So I'm going to take a motion from Mrs. Hubley to accept the plan. Can I second that motion? Is the only other person here who's in the committee? I'll second that motion. And on that, we approve your plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Hennessy.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming. You can go right ahead and present your school's plan.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Jim Hennessy, the proud principal of the Wallaston Elementary School. This evening, I look forward to reflecting on our 23-24 school improvement plan, and I'm excited to share our 24-25 plan. Before I begin, I just want to take this opportunity to thank each of you for your dedication to the students of the Quincy Public Schools. To the members of the committee, Superintendent Mulvey, Assistant Superintendent Perkins, and to all the members of the SLT. On behalf of the Wallaston school community, I want to express our sincere appreciation for your constant support and for always putting Quincy students first. We are appreciative of the many programs, resources, and staffing opportunities that you provide. I also need to thank our teachers and our staff. Every day, I have the chance to witness their dedication to our students, their commitment to high standards, and their ability to create a positive learning environment for all. We so greatly appreciate our students. It continues to be an honor to watch them learn and grow each day within the walls of our building. We are also so grateful for our parents and guardians. We truly believe that our parents and guardians are our partners and we are very fortunate to have such a strong partnership with our families and a very supportive PTO. Our PTO supports so many of our initiatives, but most importantly, they are our partners in building community by bringing people together. Our fun run was a huge success. We had more people than ever at our trunk or treat, and our family bingo night several weeks ago was a hit. We look forward to our Winter Wonderland dance in January, our movie nights, our paint nights, and many other opportunities to bring our community together. The success of Wollaston School is entirely driven by the commitment of our families, our staff, students, community leaders, and the broader community working together towards a shared goal. I'd like to take some time this evening to reflect on our shared goals from last year and our plan for this year. During the 23-24 school year, our goal was to ensure that all students demonstrated continuous growth in the area of English language arts, math, and science. We also wanted our school to continue to be a place that supports and promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion by providing social emotional learning opportunities for all members of the school community, both during and after the school day. We use the MCAS and the MAP assessments to measure our success. As you can see on page 39, we are proud to report that all tested grades demonstrated growth in the math student growth summary reports from fall of 23 to spring of 24. And on page 38, I am proud to report that the percentage of Wollaston School students who met or exceeded expectations in MCAS exceeded the state in all areas and at all grade levels. The difference was by a minimum of 12% and as high as over 44% higher than the state. We are also proud of the results of the vocal survey and our positive learning community. The overall school climate score for 4th and 5th grade students exceeded the state. Wollaston exceeded the state in the area of engagement, safety, and environment. During the 24-25 school year, our goal setting reflects our commitment to challenging our students while supporting each individual student's social emotional learning needs. We again have set goals in the areas of ELA, math, science, social emotional learning, and equity, diversity, and inclusion. We will continue to use the MAP and the MCAS to measure our progress towards these goals. In ELA, each of our grade level teams analyzed the assessment data and established areas of focus. As you can see on page 10, this year our K team will be focusing on phonemic awareness and phonics fluency. Our first grade team will be focusing on phonics skills to write complete sentences. And our second grade team will be working on enhancing reading fluency to improve reading comprehension. Our third, fourth, and fifth grade teams will be mirroring the district and focusing on improvement in written response. We are excited to continue to implement the CKLA program, but we are looking forward to delving even deeper into these units and trying to bring our families into this exciting curriculum even more. Some of these CKLA family and engagement events will include the first grades students designing a Flag Day celebration as part of a New Nation Knowledge Unit, or creating an art gallery for the Early World Civilization Knowledge Unit. We'll also host a Read Around the World celebration on February 5th and publishing parties in various grades. In mathematics, our teams also analyzed their data and identified areas of focus. As you can see on page 17, our K team will focus on fluently identifying, counting, and comparing numbers 1 to 20. Our first grade team will focus on addition and subtraction fluency 1 to 20. And our second grade team will focus on addition and subtraction within 100. Our third grade team will focus on measurement data. Fourth will focus on geometry, plus line plots and patterns. And fifth will focus on numbers and operations, specifically fractions. We look forward to continuing to use illustrative math and building our math community. We look forward to continuing math talks and giving our students more opportunities to use manipulatives. We also want to incorporate more math projects into math instruction, like building a dream house or creating your own Wild West town, to just name a few. In science, we look forward to seeing our 4th and 5th grade students demonstrating an increase of 3 RIT points from fall to spring in the MAP district summary reports. We look forward to an increase in hands-on learning, an increase in engineering projects, connecting science with writing, continuing their use of our scholastic magazines to provide real-world applications of science. We have lots of projects and fairs planned this year. First grade will have animals and habitats projects. Second grade will be doing insects projects this year. Third grade is their annual and traditional animal fair. And fourth grade will be doing engineering projects. And fifth grade, our biome fair. In the area of social emotional learning, diversity, equity, and inclusion, Wollaston School will continue to be a place that supports and promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion by providing learning opportunities for all members of our school committee, both during and after the school day. Some of our action steps include the S'mores newsletter with translation, an amazing tool and resource, thank you. More picture books with focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion, community circles, open parachute, communication tools like Seesaw and Class Dojo and talking points, social groups, lunch groups, and check-ins, our 5th grade student council, second step in kindergarten. We just recently hosted Boston vs. Bullies in our 4th grade. Excited to look forward to our after-school kindness clubs and our board games clubs to help students build relationships. I'm excited for each of these goals, but I must admit, I am most excited about our school year theme this year, Wollaston School, Building a Brighter Future. As you know, Wollaston had several building projects completed over the summer. We had a new roof, an ADA ramp connecting the gym to the basement level, and a brand new staff restroom, which was greatly needed. These projects came down to the wire in August. Our schoolyard was full of construction materials, and on one day over the summer, there were more people working on the building than who actually work in the school during the school year. It looked like a total construction site with everyone walking around with hard hats. I had my doubts about completion, as you know. I wasn't sure what the first days of school was going to look like. We needed to come up with a plan to embrace all of this. And we thought about all those hard hats and how the hard hat is not only an important safety tool, but it has become a powerful symbol in American history and culture. It represents not only the physical protection of workers, but also the enduring values of hard work, resilience, and the pursuit of progress that have shaped our country. It's symbolic of teamwork, of people coming together to build something great. And there it was. We took our mascot, Team Wally, as you can see on the cover of our school improvement plan, and we created Team Wally. And I am happy to report that everyone did come together, and a great deal of work was completed, and most of the construction site did clear out. It was an outstanding example under the leadership of the superintendent and his team, and Erin, and lots of phone calls, the contractors, QPS maintenance department that I cannot speak higher of, and also Paul Hines. Everyone came together, and we had an outstanding start to the school year. After seeing this, our goal for this year is to foster a strong sense of teamwork and collaboration among students, staff, and families. We believe that by building a strong, cohesive team, we can empower our students to achieve their full potential and contribute positively to our community. Each month, we have been highlighting the traits of what it means to be Team Wally. Work hard, effort, believe in yourself and others, encourage each other, be a friend, show optimism, respect, energy, give your energy to your team, your classroom, motivate yourself and others, and show us your enthusiasm. Incidentally, the first letters of each of these words spells out our hidden message to our students, we before team. And that has been our theme for the year. At the beginning of the school year, students wore their hard hats, put on their construction vest, and took their team photos. We have embraced the theme. Students who exemplify the trait of the month receive their own Team Wally hard hat. In so many ways, we are all under construction this year. Just like the construction workers came together at Wollaston, we are recognizing our students for laying the foundation of their success and helping to build a brighter future for themselves, our school community, and our world. I thank you for giving me this opportunity. We're excited for the school year ahead and the future success of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Berdios.
Thank you. It was really a joy to read your report. The amount of things going on, the amount of action steps you have is amazing. And you can really see that team spirit kind of throughout your entire school improvement plan, and just the vocal data, especially the 4th grade group, is off the charts. So I don't know if that message of team or whatever happened, it seemed like, I mean, that I know came this year, and the vocal survey was from last year, but I can only imagine it's a continuation of kind of that mindset of a team like that. And it seemed like it was really coming through in that vocal data for sure. So I love the idea that we're all under construction. So it's not, just an award that, you've done it, you've made it, you're done. It's kind of, we're all still working, and you're doing this great, but keep going because we're all kind of continuing on. So I love that. It's a really great message to send. And like I said, I can't speak highly enough about the action steps. ELA, you had 35 action steps. Math, you had 33. Science, you had 17. And SEL, you had 23 action steps. I mean, these are how you're getting these results, which the MCAS data is phenomenal. Above the state average is what we can shoot for, right? I mean, MCAS data, I feel like you have to take it with a grain of salt, but that state average, these are kids that have all been through COVID. They've all been through that stuff. So if we can try to stay close to that, and you're doing that, and you're right there and above. So I think it's great. I think all those action steps matter, and I think it's how you're getting the results you're getting. So fantastic work. I couldn't even find a question or something that I'm always really critical of just, everything, or ask a lot of questions, but for sure, really hit it out of the park. So thank you.
very much.
Mrs. Cahill?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for everything. Obviously, your work is reflected in your report, so, and you and your team. The only thing I would like to address is some of the facilities. And I think as a team, we should be pushing that, moving, especially I know it was in here last year. How many years have we had the oven in the hallway issue? A few years now?
Been a while, yes.
Yeah, I would like to see us put in, really focus on that in facilities and try and get that moved up the ladder so we can put that in an appropriate
That would be
spot.
amazing and
Yeah.
greatly appreciated.
So, and I think for me, that's probably the place where we maybe see some of the needs that we need to focus on more so than your academic and improvement stuff. So, but thank you for everything. Thank you.
Yeah, so this will all be moved into the facility subcommittee, and especially the security cameras. That's a whole nother thing that we're looking at separately, and the school needs will be moved into budget to see what we can afford. Those things. Mr. Guttrow?
Just want to say, Jim, I've found in my time in the school committee, you're a great leader and a terrific principal. Your map data, your vocal data, your MCAS data, just off the charts, great. You should be incredibly proud. I love how you embraced the theme. I'm sure you had 100% confidence that everything was going to get done in time, but embraced the theme and brought the students into it and made it a teachable moment.
It's been fun.
A learning moment for that. I had two questions, and these are usually questions that other folks ask here. In the vocal data, only 26% said I read books in class that include people similar to me. I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that. And then only 34% said I feel safe sharing my feelings in class, which, is probably, I won't say universal across the board, but that might be a little lower than some of the others. Any thoughts on those two?
We looked at that deeply, and especially looking at the fourth and fifth, there was definitely a discrepancy, and we talked to the staff, and we definitely did strategize a little bit for this coming year, and just some of the areas that we need to focus. As far as the open to talking to teachers, I don't know. I do think there's an openness amongst people, and parents are willing to call, and we're willing to answer that phone and respond. I'm not sure why students wrote that, but it's just something, we definitely saw that, and there's definitely a discrepancy between the fourth and fifth, so we need to look at that further.
Well, you created a great culture at the school, I think.
Thank
So
you.
Appreciate your work.
Thank you, Mr. Guttrow. Yeah, I just want to, as a neighbor, and all my neighbors go down to your school, and they absolutely couldn't be any happier. They really couldn't be any happier. It's a real testament to the neighborhood you have. I think you have a great staff, you have great families, but the leadership there is outstanding. It really is. So thank you very much for that. Your scores are amazing. There's absolutely nothing to be said. The accountability percentile, that might be the highest one we've ever gotten, 85th%. That's amazing.
We're proud of it, and for team effort. I know you
I
said
know,
leadership, but it's a team
I-
effort.
And your absenteeism went down to 2.5. And it's pretty cool stuff. It really is. It really is very, very good. It was a pleasure to read. I agree with Mrs. Perdios. It was a pleasure to read. I know you have a great community down there, and I was worried all summer about the construction myself as I drove by. And they did sneak in a few weekends after school started, I noticed, to finish stuff up.
They were great. They absolutely were great.
It was amazing to see that construction. Is this really going to do it?
They literally were running at the end. I've never seen anything like that before. I really appreciate everyone, especially QPS maintenance. Like, they were unbelievable. They came down to the wire, but they did it. So
That's great. Great to hear. We have so many good people in our district, in our city, who work on that stuff, so it's really great to hear. We couldn't do our work without them doing their work. So-
and it was a lot, and they did it. It was so impressive.
So I'm going to
Thank you.
entertain a motion for Mrs. Hubley to accept your plan. I'm going to second that motion. All in favor, aye, and you are set. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Thank you so much for coming. We'd love to hear your school improvement plan.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. Before we delve into the school improvement plan, I just want to take a moment to talk about what defines Clifford Marshall School. And that's the supportive and inclusive culture that defines our community. We are a beautifully diverse group of families and staff that share a common goal of love, acceptance, and growth. Last year was a really difficult one for our school. We suffered the tragic loss of our beloved second grade teacher, Christine Fyander, and former Marshall student and son of kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Troy, Matt Troy. These two beautiful people were lost far too young, and our community is still dealing with the shock and sadness of their loss. Though these tragic losses were difficult, you can also see the beauty of our resilient community. Last year's Fun Run, a spectacular community event that we celebrated in collaboration with Point Webster, was dedicated to the memory of Christine, and funds were raised to establish a scholarship in her name. Team Mighty Marshall raised over $54,000 for Dana-Farber as we participated in the annual Jimmy Fun Walk. And the QEA held a blood drive this fall, and we're currently doing a clothing drive to benefit St. Francis House in honor of Christine. Our school is not defined by the challenges we face, but we are defined as how we come together to face those challenges. I also wanted to share that our staff has committed to a few goals you won't see in the school improvement plan, but we are going to use these as guiding principles. We strive to teach like Christine every day. She had a unique blend of compassion, sense of humor, and patience that was truly second to none. As you walk around Marshall, you'll see the pins reminding us every single day that we will teach like Christine. We also took on the challenge of embodying firefighter and veteran Matt Troy's sense of duty, sense of humor, and his never give up on anyone mentality. These guiding principles that we've adopted from Matt and Christine are certainly an important part of our school improvement, and they'll enhance the plan that we're sharing with you tonight. As always, creating a plan for school improvement begins with taking a look at our achievement, celebrating successes, and identifying areas that need improvement. So we'd now like to share a brief overview of our assessment analysis and how we use that to create this year's goals and action steps.
In the area of math, our math growth was very strong across grade levels, far exceeding national norms and exceeding last year's school improvement plan goals. We especially want to highlight the tremendous growth of 22 points demonstrated by our third grade students. That's double the national norm. Our performance on MCAS in the area of math was mixed. We performed very well in third grade, but did not perform as well as we would have expected in grade 4. We will use common planning time this year to meet regularly with grade level and vertical math teams to monitor student growth and make curriculum adjustments. This year, we've also adopted the research-based supplemental ST Math program building-wide. We are excited about the expected impact of this program will have on developing critical thinking, problem solving, and conceptual understanding. We feel this program is especially powerful as it is engaging for all students and completely visual, requiring no language, therefore making it accessible for all students regardless of language ability. This year, our first school improvement plan focuses on the implementation of ST Math across all grade levels. We have high expectations for its impact and will use the provided student progress data as well as MAP, MCAS, and IM assessments to monitor progress and inform instruction.
In the area of language arts, we're thrilled to see growth students showed on the DIPPLS assessment. Across grades K to 2, we began the year with only 50% of our students meeting or exceeding benchmark, and by the end of the year, we had 72%. As we looked at setting this year's goals for foundational reading skills, we wanted to continue to build on that progress, but increase the overall growth expectation for each grade level. We consistently see more DIBELS growth in grades K and 1 than in grades 2 and 3. Because of this, one of our action steps is to make adjustments to our intervention model to provide more intense support for those students that are struggling to progress in foundational reading skills. In the upper grades, we showed mixed results on MAP and MCAS assessments. Overall, our third grade students performed extraordinarily well on both assessments. Our fourth grade students did not meet our ambitious goal of 10 points of growth on MAP, although their 7-point growth was just 1 point under the national norm of 8. We also want to celebrate the strong performance in writing in both third and fourth grade on MCAS. As we looked for areas of improvement across assessments, we identified vocabulary as an area of need, and so therefore our third goal is measured by growth on MAP assessment with a particular focus in the area of vocabulary.
Our fourth goal will once again focus on social emotional learning. We know that Marshall students feel cared for and supported at school, and this was reinforced by our vocal data. This data also helped us to identify areas of improvement needed to meet social emotional need of our students. As we looked at our current PBIS program, there were a number of important foundational components that were not as strong as they were prior to COVID and during our initial implementation of PBIS. We realized that we need to focus more on teaching student expectations, revitalize a school-wide approach, and provide more opportunities to celebrate student success. Our goal and action steps support this relaunch of PBIS by providing things like classroom lessons, assemblies, and increased opportunities for reinforcement. We are so proud of the dramatic improvement our students showed in reducing our rate of chronic absenteeism. We adopted a number of initiatives last year that we will continue to use this year. First, we want school to be a place that students want to be in and will continue to engage students and create meaningful relationships. We will continue to celebrate strong attendance, and we will continue to partner with our families to help them understand the impact of attendance and work through any obstacles that may be attending school regularly a challenge.
As we shared previously, we have a close-knit school community, and part of that is our strong partnership with the PTO. We have a shared goal to create a strong, inclusive connection between families and school. We host monthly hybrid PTO meetings with childcare provided in an effort to make our meetings accessible for all. Each month, we cover topics that are selected by families, such as curriculum night, meet the specialists, social emotional learning night. We also work together to provide community events, such as bingo night, family dance party, of course, the fun run that I spoke about earlier. One of my favorite events is our international night. We're fortunate to have such tremendous diversity to celebrate. So we share dances, food, and have the most amazing fashion show you can possibly imagine. This year, we were also honored to be selected as part of the Scholastic United States of Readers program, where each student is going to select 10 books to add to their own personal home libraries. We're so thankful for this program and believe it's going to really help empower students to select books that make them feel seen and encourage their love of reading. It is our honor to represent such a wonderful school and to present our school improvement plan to you. Thank you so much for your support, and let us know if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Hubley.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to be putting all of the facilities needs and school needs into the facility subcommittee and in the budget subcommittee, but I did want to address room 113 because it needs addressing, and as it stated, needs addressing. So feel like if you're saying it needs addressing, I want to hear about it.
It has been addressed. Room 113 had a smell to it, a musty odor, if you will, that was difficult to identify, honestly, and it took quite a while. They had to basically tear the room apart. The great news is the issue has been resolved. New flooring, new carpeting, all, they really did an excellent job. New univent. It was a water issue. The univent had leaked, so it has been resolved completely.
Okay, it didn't have a check mark, so I thought
Okay,
it was, I thought it was
sorry.
incomplete.
It's
I
all
was gonna
set.
say,
It's all
all right.
good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mrs. Cahill.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I think that when I'm looking at your plan, and you talk about the great community that you have, a lot of it is when you look at the extended day and your family engagement, all the activities that you have, I think really help to solidify that. On a district-wide comment I'd like to make is that, I know we've had issues with absenteeism, and it seems like this year, and we talked about it last year a lot, is all the schools and principals, vice principals, everyone getting together and putting together initiatives to really find what is effective with the students and families. And whatever you've all come up with over the year, last year, has been so successful. And I really need to, I want to make sure that we highlight the fact that you've all been working really hard, and the numbers have been incredible this year. So, and for your school, but for all the schools that have come in, before us this year, seem to have really been positive numbers. So thank you for the work you're doing there, because that obviously is important in our results, and for the work that you do with the community engagement and the after-school activities. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gattro.
I too want to commend you on the laudable progress on chronic absenteeism, especially, in almost all categories you had really consequential change. So you're doing something right in that regard, as well as the grade 3 MCAS and the map growth, pretty impressive stuff. And the United States Reading Program, I think we heard about it from another principal. That sounds super impressive. So looking forward to hearing back next year how it was, how it rolls out and what the students think about it and what that means. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Berdios.
Thank you. Definitely a hard year for you guys, and I'm just so, honored to even be as close to as a part of the community still as I am, having my kids gone through there. But all of my kids had Miss Myander, and just the way, not only obviously a friend and colleague to all of you, but the way you've kind of taken it and made it part of, making everyone better, even better. But you guys have such a fantastic dynamite team there that it was funny when I was reading the SEL goal and you evaluated that you partially met that. And I know that's not true. Despite not having all the open parachute lessons you may have outlined in your goal, you are absolutely meeting those kids' social emotional needs every day in that building. Just knowing every staff member there is just, totally a home run hitter on that. So I wouldn't worry about the number of open parachute lessons you get on that. So awesome, good strides on the chronic absenteeism. I think, does what's left, is it impacted a lot by kids that are out of international traveling, going back and forth to home countries? Are you seeing that that's still a pretty big impact to what's left of the chronic absenteeism?
It can be. We definitely do experience that quite a bit. If students are gone for an extended period of time, we actually unenroll them and then re-enroll them. So that has helped a little bit in terms of not having amassed a huge number of absences. But if they're gone for even 2 weeks, that's 10 days, and then they get the flu. There are things like that do sort of impact that overall number.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as I was reading that number, but great strides on that. And I'm psyched about the writing strides that you guys have made. I know that's been a focus for so many years, even when Principal Hearn was there. So that's really great to see that, you're really seeing the results of that now. A couple of things I wanted to highlight in the facilities plan, the walkway from Broadway to the building, that is absolutely a safety concern. It's something that, when my kiddos were there, one ice and every parent is going down over there. And you know, it's a well-used walkway, and that is absolutely something that we should be making a priority on our safety concern list. Wanted to ask about, and this question probably isn't for the principals, maybe for Dr. Perkins, the $1,000 library stipend. I'm noticing across all of them that it's pretty universal amount of $1,000, but where Marshall's got almost twice the number of kids that the other elementary schools have, is there any, how does that number get defined, and is there a way to kind of have it take note of the fact of how many students are there?
I mean, I definitely think we can discuss it. I think that the library, you know, I mean, yes, there are more students, but the library, you know, the sizes of the library, I think, are pretty equivalent in terms of the number of books. And so I think it's, you know, not necessarily like the text and learning budget, so, but I definitely think we can take a look at it for sure.
Okay. I was just curious, and it sort of just hit me with the number. I was reading the school improvement plan for Atherton Howe, which is, about half what Marshall has. I was just wondering if there was a way to divvy that up a little bit better. And I think that was it. Yeah, just, you guys are awesome, and International Night is so fantastic. And if you haven't been to a Clifford Marshall International Night, you haven't been to an International Night, because it is amazing. You get food and shows, dancing, it's the whole package. So thank you, guys. Still, so proud to be a part of it still. Thanks.
Mr. Guttrow.
I just want to say one more thing. I want to give a shout out actually to the superintendent, because both the parent as well as the crossing guard pointed out to me that the walk time across South Street as well as Southern Artery was only 8 seconds, but yet it says it's like 14 or 16 seconds, and he dispatched folks out there at traffic and parking, and they did an incredible job. And I know that it's a dangerous place to cross, so it's extraordinarily helpful. I just want to give you a shout out, Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Guttrow. I have a couple of very minor questions, just for informational sake. What is a puzzle goal?
Yes, it's a little confusing. Kim, help us. So ST Math is based on puzzles. The kids have to solve puzzles. And so every grade level is a little bit different in terms of how many puzzles they have to solve in a particular school year. So we're trying to move students towards solving as many puzzles as possible without getting bogged down by the numbers.
So I understand that the ST Math really requires the use of the Chromebooks or iPads or something.
Yes.
And we don't have those for our younger students. So every school that uses it is really pushing to get some more technology in, because you don't need language to be able to do that. So it's so crucial. It really is so crucial. So I just think it's important that we really pay attention to that. I noticed that you didn't have a science goal for this year, did you?
We did not. We did not. Obviously, science is important. We teach science, don't get me wrong. I think when we have 4 goals, only one grade level, 4th grade, does.
That's assessed?
Yeah, is assessed in science. So, we try to look at goals that are a little bit more across the grade levels.
Okay.
And that's why we didn't
Makes
make a
sense.
science goal.
Makes
but
sense. It really makes
It's not
sense.
that we don't teach it, I promise.
I didn't think so. On page 24, there was another question I had here. What is RBT for student support?
Yeah, so an RBT is a trained para that works specifically with student behavior and support
Okay.
and things like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, we it would be helpful for our student support teams to have another para. We did have one in the past. She's on maternity leave. We're crossing our fingers that she'll be returning to us, because she was an incredible asset to our student support team. Can work with really specific students that are struggling across the board and can use that kind of level of support.
Okay, I think this is a great plan. Motion to accept by Mrs. Hubley. I second it, and you are all set.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much. We didn't even do it on purpose. Unintentionally.
Good evening. Thank you so much for coming,
Thank you.
and we'll allow you to present your plan.
Well, thank you for your time. I am proud to be the principal of Parker School and to present our school improvement plan to you this evening. When preparing for this evening's presentation, I thought of our school song. The song begins with the chorus, "Parker's where my heart is, full of love and kindness, like a family." This is sung quite loudly by our students at every assembly. First, Parker's where my heart is. Parker is full of love and kindness. Kindness helps our students both be a friend and make friends. This was emphasized at our recent assembly, where first graders sang a song about gratitude, including being grateful for their friends. I certainly am grateful for the teachers, children, and families of Parker. Kindness is the culture at Parker. Because of this, students are engaged with their friends and their teachers, and families are engaged with Parker. Family engagement activities at Parker include popsicles on the playground, trunk or treat, and we are looking forward to our Cocoa Craft Night on Friday. There are other family engagement activities this year, including Lunar New Year and our Family Literacy Night. Because of our culture of kindness, there is a strong sense of community. Students appreciate and value the diversity that makes Parker such a wonderful place to teach and learn. Examples of activities celebrating our diversity include our Lunar New Year night, our Lunar New Year play, and family celebration. Also, our One School, One Book and Family Literacy Night. Because of our culture of kindness, students are engaged beyond the school day. We are fortunate to offer many after-school clubs, including Peer Leaders, Box, STEM Club, Drama Club, Homework Club, and Robotics.
The next verse of our song says, "I have come to learn and to do my best." Parker students come to school every day, ready to learn and to do their best. Our students take pride in their learning, and we have very high standards for those students. However, our high standards are balanced with a high degree of support. There's a safety net for students who are in need of intervention. Our intervention groups are small, flexible, and data-driven. Our ILT process allows teams of teachers to work together to identify students in need of additional support and to plan appropriate interventions. Through the support of the superintendent and his leadership team and the school committee, we are fortunate to have an extensive support system for Parker students. This allows our students to come to learn and to achieve their very best. Interventionist support at Parker includes 2 literacy teachers, a part-time math interventionist, the support of 4 ELE teachers, as well as small class sizes. Additionally, we have 2 guidance counselors supporting the social and emotional needs of our students. Parker students are responsible, and through the support of the superintendent, his leadership team, and the school committee, they have the supports they need to do their best.
The last verse says, "Though we all are different, our goal is the same. Influence our world for good, try to make a change." Although Parker students are all different, they are all working towards a common goal. Students are taught the skills and knowledge they need to be successful and are given the support they need to achieve their best. Parker is fortunate to have a great team of highly qualified and caring teachers who give their very best. At Parker, teachers have the support they need to do their very best. This includes small class sizes and extensive professional development. Teachers partner with parents to support students and engage families in their children's education. Though we all are different, teachers, students, and families work together to celebrate the rich culture, traditions, and diversity of Parker. Try to make a change means committing to continuous improvement. That's why we're here tonight, presenting our school improvement plan and committing to the goals and action steps that will bring about lasting improvement. Our students will loudly sing our song, and I agree with them. Parker's where my heart is, where I want to be. Parker students come to school every day to learn and to do their very best, and I am proud to be their principal and to share our school improvement plan with you this evening. Assessment results provide a snapshot of student performance during the spring of 2024, and this shows us there's work to be done, and we are committed through our action steps towards addressing needs and focusing on improvement. In the area of ELA, assessment highlights include 44% of third graders are meeting or exceeding expectations. This is above the state average by 3%. 50% of fourth graders are meeting or exceeding expectations. This is above the state average by 16% and shows a 3% increase from 2023. Although fifth graders are 1% below the state average, conventions of standard English is a relative strength. Additionally, it is hoped that a school-wide emphasis on writing will address the areas of concern and students will show improvement.
In the area of mathematics, 51% of third graders are meeting or exceeding expectations, which was above the state average by 6%. 63% of fourth graders were meeting or exceeding expectations, above the state average by 17%. 32% of fifth graders were meeting or exceeded expectations, and although this represents a decrease, an individual strength was noted in the area of fractions, where we outperformed the state by 13%. In the area of science, 44% of our students were meeting or exceeding expectations. This reflects a 5% increase when comparing to, a 5% decrease when comparing results to 2023, but was equal to the state average. Our goals and action steps at Parker are a real team effort. Teachers work in those teams to analyze data and differentiate instruction to meet individual needs of all students.
Looking ahead, Parker teachers will continue to support students' academic, social, and emotional growth. As we work towards this goal, specific focus will be given to how we can provide intervention and support to accelerate student learning and increase achievement. We have proposed ambitious goals using both MCAS and MAP data in reading, writing, mathematics, and science to document student progress. Parker teacher teams have developed action steps to meet these goals. There is an emphasis on writing across the curriculum. An emphasis on writing across the curriculum in our goals and action steps. The ELA goal is supported across all subject areas. Key action steps include differentiated reading instruction tailored to meet the diverse needs of students and targeted intervention at each grade level to address specific gaps in learning. Throughout our school improvement plan, there is a strong emphasis on enhancing students' writing skills, with a focus on helping them write effectively across genre and subject area. Writing will be integrated throughout the curriculum, providing students with consistent opportunities to apply and refine their skills in meaningful context.
The math goal places a strong emphasis on geometry, recognizing its importance in building foundational mathematical understanding. As teachers continue to refine the implementation of illustrative mathematics, our core research, it is essential that we collaborate and evaluate pacing to ensure that enough instructional time is dedicated to teaching geometry in depth. Students will continue to engage with math journals, focusing on articulating multiple strategies for solving problems, which enhances both their problem-solving skills as well as their mathematical reasoning. Teachers across all grade levels are maintaining the use of guided math instruction, small group instruction, implementing data-driven, flexible, and differentiated groupings to meet the needs of students. Students are loving ST Math and Gigi the Penguin, which is our school mascot, by the way. Students engage with this research-based program to deepen their conceptual understanding and improve overall math achievement. Additionally, we are fortunate to work with a dedicated math interventionist who's providing targeted support for students, helping them to strengthen their skills in the key areas of mathematics, including geometry. This comprehensive approach ensures that students receive the instruction and support they need to excel in math. Our science goal is supported by integrating inquiry-based hands-on activities. The implementation of engineering is elementary. Teachers are utilizing the digital components of Savas Realize and supplementing with Mystery Science. There are also cross-curricular opportunities within the knowledge strands of CKLA that teachers are able to use as well.
Highlights of social emotional learning include our continued implementation of Open Parachute, community circles, and restorative circles, our One School, One Book family initiative. Social and emotional learning supports include continued implementation of PBIS, our monthly assemblies, guidance lessons in classrooms, check-in, check-out, etc. To conclude, Parker School has wonderful students, supportive families, and caring teachers. It is a vibrant school community, and I am proud to be the principal. Thank you for your time and your continued support, and remember, Parker's where my heart is, where I want to be, full of love and kindness, like a family. Questions?
Thank you so much. Mrs. Hoadley.
Thank you very much. Great presentation, thank you. I love your family engagement. Always a wonderful atmosphere being over at Parker. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
The facilities, we're going to be moving into the facilities subcommittee, and school needs, we're moving into budgets. We can look at them. But I did want to ask if, I see there are a lot of things that were in place and still in place from last year going into
Some
place
of them
this
are a
year.
work in progress.
But I was going to ask you about the leak outside of 20A. Is that something that's in progress being fixed?
That is, I'm not sure about the progress status of that. That involves a cast iron pipe.
Okay.
So they've they've repaired, but I think the entire pipe needs to be replaced, but it has been repaired and ceiling tiles have been replaced.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was a safety concern that we should be noting.
Repaired, ceiling tiles repaired, eventually the entire pipe will need to be replaced. The boiler is very much in progress. That's what I,
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Mr. Guttrow,
I'm good.
you good? Mrs. Perdios?
Thanks. Thank you so much. And I was lucky enough to be able to hear the kiddos sing that song and the gratitude song at Mrs. Youngman's dedication a couple weeks back. And I actually took a video of them singing it. I showed my kids and my 2 high schoolers and my middle schooler, and they were just like, "Oh my God, they're adorable! It's
They
so
are.
great."
I'm
really
biased,
are.
but they
I
are.
mean, they knew that school song, and I mean, just the pride in their school. You could really see it just even through the videos. So it was really great to be there for that. Thanks, Sarah, for that. And then I just had one. I really liked your vocal data that you were kind of focusing on the categories and just an overall, score in those categories and trying to go by that. That was a really unique way of looking at it. I thought that was great. The discrepancy between grade 4 and grade 5 on the vocal, I was noticing on some of these, and I didn't know if you had any thoughts as to, are you doing something different in grade 4 that you thought might have attributed to that, or is there, why do you think grade 5's a little,
Grade 5 definitely was lower, both
Yeah.
academically and vocal data.
Yeah.
Grade 5 was much larger than the current 5th grade. I'm not sure if the sample size skewed things. We not sure if it is they were closer to COVID and re-entry, but they were lower academically, social, emotionally, across the board. And we worked hard to push in interventions with last year's 5th grade, both guidance and academic. I'm thinking of the literacy push-in. We noticed it too. And we're trying.
yeah, no, at least it's encouraged that grade 4 data this year is really, or this
Last
grade
year's
4
4,
right,
current 5,
exactly,
yeah.
is really encouraging. So hopefully we'll see those 5th, I know, right? They'll maintain it when they're when they take it when they're 5th graders. And just, do you think that with 60% of your student body EL or FEL, how do you feel that you have enough EL support? I noticed like Marshall has the 4 EL teachers and also
We
a
do as
tutor.
well. We
Right,
have-
but they have an EL tutor, it said in their staff. So do you feel like you have enough? Do you feel like you might need additional support there, or?
I feel very fortunate with the EL team we have in place.
Okay,
They also work really closely with the literacy team, and then there's grade level collaboration. So for now, I'm really feeling fortunate with how things are going.
great. Thank you. Appreciate your honesty. Thanks.
And just looking at your accountability data, you did meet the target for ELs. Not too many people in the district were able to do that, so I think you must
I'll
have.
cross my fingers to that one too.
I have a couple of quick questions. Class size, there's a couple of class sizes that look a little large, like that 5th grade.
I'm feeling again with our EL and literacy model at the instructional groupings, feeling like with a lot of push-in, we're kind of hitting it.
Okay.
So I'm feeling okay.
So you're not feeling stressed by that. What I loved about your goals is I love that you're saying 70% will meet or exceed their projected growth. I love that. I think that's such a simple statement, and it says so much more about what's going on for individual kids. So I really like it. Now, the Joan Youngman Award, I wasn't able to make it to that ceremony, so could you just say a little bit something about it? And
Sure.
also, is the money targeted towards anything? Or-
Yes. Joan Youngman was a teacher for a long time at Parker School who recently passed away. Late last spring, I received a call from Mr. Youngman didn't know Joan, didn't know him. And he said, "Can I come in? My wife taught there and she recently passed." Sure. And he spoke beautifully about how much she loved Parker and wanted to give back to Parker. So I said, "That's great. What do you need?" And I'm thinking it's a smallish donation and we can always use books for the media center, et cetera. He's like, "Well," and he named the amount, a very generous $25,000 donation initially, and that he would like that to continue with a $10,000 donation for the next 10 years. I said, "Oh, well, books and then some." So it's targeted for technology
Okay.
and literacy. Technology we use to purchase an iPad cart, filled it up with iPads, which is perfect for the implementation of ST Math, particularly at the younger grades where logging onto the Chromebook, et cetera, is challenging. They're getting their puzzle puzzle completion in. It's going great. And then also literacy. So we are looking at, Mr. Youngman felt strongly about digital books, ebooks, which is interesting. And I said, well, with the ebook, you need the device. So we're looking into, we have Epic, and we're looking into some digital book subscriptions.
Thank you. And that's my only question, so I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the plan, seconded by me, and you are approved. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I won't break into song for you.
I might.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for coming, and
Thank
please
you.
feel free to share your plan with us.
Thank you for having us. I'm honored to sit before you to present the Marymount School Improvement Plan. I would like to thank the school committee, Mayor Koch, Superintendent Mulvey, Assistant Superintendent Dr. Perkins, as well as the SLT for their continuous support throughout the school year. I would also like to thank our talented staff, our PTO, school council, EDI team, families, and most importantly, our students. Our students really, really make the Marymount School a truly wonderful place to be every day. With guidance from the district, Mr. Rogan and I worked closely with our staff to create this plan. Overall, we were pleased with the progress that our students made last year, and we hope that our goals and action steps this year will target areas to see growth. Analysis of Marymount's MCAS results as well as MAP data show that the action steps and initiatives that our school put into place last year had a positive impact, but we recognize that there are specific areas that we will focus on this school year. Our ELA goal last year focused on literacy and writing. Our kindergarten through grade 3 showed amazing growth in early literacy skills as measured by MClass in the spring. Grades 2, 3, and 5 met their projected growth according to MAP, and grade 4 made significant progress. Early literacy reading growth will continue to be one of the areas to focus on for the first part of our ELA goal for this school year. The second part of our ELA goal focused on writing in grades 3 to 5. Overall, this part of the goal was met based on the school average in the production and distribution of writing. This will continue to be a focus for our ELA goal this year as well. Specific action steps in our plan this year include opportunities to explore writing resources that dovetail nicely with CKLA, such as the Writing Revolution, which many of our teachers are already using this year. We also hope to increase opportunities for students to use writing as a tool to process and demonstrate their understanding across different subject areas. Now that we've fully implemented CKLA this year, we want to really focus on the writing scope and sequence of the program to see where we might need to supplement a little bit and or support some of our teachers at different grade levels, especially some of our newer teachers with writing instruction. We've revised and added action steps to support our EL learners. We are excited about the implementation of the new EL curriculum to support our students. Currently, there are 20 different languages spoken at Marymount, and our EL population has increased even since the beginning of this school year. In math, students showed evidence of growth in the targeted domains stated. All grade levels met and in fact exceeded this goal. Although our math map data is solid, there is a discrepancy between the growth our students show in MAP and our MCAS scores. At the end of the last year, we were given the opportunity to pilot ST Math, and this school year we committed to the full implementation of the tool. The students have embraced GG, and we are well on our way to meeting our puzzle goal completion. One action step that you will see repeated in our list of action steps is one that asks our staff to analyze and utilize data to provide targeted instruction during WIN. Our WIN, or targeted instruction block, is not new to our schedule. However, we really wanted to work on strengthening our Tier 2 interventions this year, and we have scheduled time for teachers to analyze data and plan on how a targeted intervention block can be used to maximize impact. We introduced a planning guide and scheduled 6 to 8 week cycles that involve frequent assessment to monitor progress and adjust instruction accordingly. It's really been amazing to see how our teachers have worked together to come up with creative ideas for WIN. They've shared resources, created fluid and flexible groupings across grade levels. For example, in grades 3 to 5, teachers rotate groups during WIN. We really hope that this push has an impact on student learning. Our science goal will again monitor growth using MAP data. New action steps highlight incorporating opportunities for students to experience digital simulations, such as virtual labs. We also want to provide increased opportunities for overall science literacy with things like hands-on activities. Our fourth goal, our student support goal, focuses on peer relationships. It is evident from the spring vocal data that our students feel happy and safe at Marymount. However, after looking at the data, we thought that this goal was a good fit this year. We are so fortunate to be working with the educational-based nonprofit organization Raising Multicultural Kids this year. The diversity leaders working with grades 3 and 4 explore themes celebrating identity, community, advocacy, reliance, and resilience. Last month, the diversity leaders led classroom discussions with the book The Girl Who Figured It Out, an inspiring story of the first wheelchair athlete to complete the Ironman World Champion Triathlon. This month, the story was Watercress, where students explored how the main character was able to connect with her cultural identity. Next month, students will read Jose Feeds the World, a true story of an award-winning chef, food activist, and founder of the World Central Kitchen, a disaster relief organization that uses the power of food to nourish communities. Our school will also participate in a community project, a food drive, as part of this lesson. We hope that this partnership encourages self-confidence and empathy, builds perspective-taking skills, gives students the tools to address issues, and create productive dialogue about change, and recognize that representation matters. Our staff remains committed to creating a positive school climate and culture. We work with students throughout the day to provide a constructive environment that supports academic, social, and emotional growth.
Our sense of community is strong within the walls of our building, and that feeling extends beyond as well. In addition to our school-based teams, we work closely with our school community, including our school council, our PTO, our EDI team, and really all of our parents and families. School celebrations and gatherings continue to be held throughout the school year to build enrichment and welcome families into the building. Community events like the Trunk or Treat, the Fun Run, and Internationalite are very well attended. Our EDI team continues to work hard to expose our students to different themes throughout the year to celebrate our differences in diversity. We're committed to the different ways that people work together within our school to improve not only learning, but the overall school experience for our students. We continue to celebrate our students with weekly PBIS ticket winners and recognize students for displaying our monthly character traits at our monthly PBIS virtual assemblies. Our 5th grade leadership opportunities foster self-confidence, responsibility, adaptability, communication skills, and more. When we look closely at our vocal results, we're pleased with the results as they are related to student and adult relationships. As Ms. Sheikh Connor mentioned, some of the areas in need of focus are centered on peer relationships. In addition to our open parachute and raising multicultural kids lessons, our community building activities are consistently happening throughout the school day. We're also implementing many extended day programs aimed at fostering positive peer relationships. I'll be sending out a menu of our winter programs to families on Wednesday, and I asked teachers to create their own descriptions of the programs. And as I was reading through those, a few keywords popped off the page that I'm going to share with you. Bonding, teamwork, team building, sportsmanship, following rules, turn-taking, cooperation, social skills, leadership, confidence, and collaboration. We're also introducing a new program called Leadership Launchpad, which partners fifth graders with younger students in order to help build positive relationships. Presenting these opportunities in a less structured environment allows our students to flourish beyond the school day. Of course, none of this would be possible without the support of the entire community of parents, students, teachers, and administrators who work together to bring it all to life. Thank you for having us here tonight. We welcome any questions or feedback that you have.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Hoogley.
Okay. Thank you so much for that presentation. That was excellent. Thank you. The facilities needs are going to get put into the facilities subcommittee, and the school needs moved into the budget. But I did want to ask you about, there's some things that I see that were from last year, still on to this year, and one was the interior window in the main office.
So
Curious
one of
about
the
that.
things that we have looked into, and we've had some of maintenance come out and look at as well, is that it would be nice to have our secretary have a direct line of sight to the main door. And so one of the things that we asked is that if it was a possibility to cut a window out and have her move her desk so that she could see the front door from where she was sitting.
Okay, and that sounds to me like more of a safety
Yes.
concern. So I would like to see if we can move that more under a safety level, because I think that should be kind of highlighted a little bit.
Absolutely.
And one thing we talk about a lot is I read books that include people that are similar to me, and then I noticed you have a 56 and a 53. And the books you were just reading
Yes.
was talking about are so intriguing.
Yes.
And wonderful, and I was impressed. I was very impressed with hearing about them. And that's not reflected here. But it is, like we were talking about, it's individual students that are going to see themselves
Yes,
in
the
those
representation.
stories, in the representation. Because A Chef That Feeds the World, that's amazing. That's a great book. I'd like to read that. That sounds great. But it's not reflected because only a certain number of kids are going to see that.
And
I just
we-
wanted to point that out. 'Cause
We had a really hard time choosing the grade levels that the organization was going to work with because, you know, it would be great to see them K-5, which I think maybe in time that's something that might be able to happen. But we really looked at the students that we thought could benefit, and that's where we chose the third and the fourth grade. And so keeping the thought of increasing skills that kids could acquire for positive peer relations. That's why Mr. Rogan and I have talked a lot about the extended day program, and we have leadership opportunities for grade 5. But yeah, we're really hoping that we see that in our vocal data.
Yeah, those are great books. I love them. That's fabulous. Thank you.
I agree. Mrs. Perdios.
Thank you very much for being here for the plan. I thought the data reflection, you had really good, thoughtful data reflection, and I thought you could see that in a lot of the new action steps you guys added. I thought that they were very responsive to kind of what the data showed, and I could see where you were trying to go with finding the sensitive spots and try to hit that, right, with your new action steps. So really thought that was great. I really love seeing the rolling out of the Raising Multicultural Kids. I loved hearing about what it looked like at SNUG and what it looks like for you guys. And I'm wondering if that presentation, I know Mrs. Lebo asked about it when the SNUG team was here. I'm wondering, the Raising Multicultural Kids group did a presentation that I think it was like the PTO for both of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if maybe they could come in to just speak to us about it, because I know Mrs. Lebo had some questions about it, and I think it was a great presentation that I feel like everybody here would benefit from hearing, just to know what they're doing. It's great work, and it would be great if we could expand it to other schools and other grades. Great MAP scores and growth. Really like seeing that your numbers were over the state average in just about all the categories. I really like, it makes me uncomfortable when we get too far from that state average, so I really appreciated you guys were right there and working hard on that. The fun clubs, the cursive club, that sounds fun. I know they tried that at Point Webster, but they didn't have quite enough kids sign up, so.
Well, there were a lot. There were a lot of kids.
We had to break it up into 2 sessions because there
Did
were
you
so
really?
many. We did.
That's awesome. They'll be able to read some of the stuff that now my kids can't read because they don't know how to read cursive. So, for sure, that sounds fantastic. Good class sizes. And I was just, again, noticing, and you're not alone on this, the discrepancy in the vocal data between the 4th and 5th grade. And hopefully we'll just see that 4th grade, like next year's 5th grade vocal data will be outstanding. Hopefully, I don't know what it is. You're not alone, but I mean, there's some significant drops between 4th and 5th, and it doesn't seem like anyone's doing anything particularly different, but students respecting each other in my school, it goes from 46% in 5th grade to 85% in 4th grade. So something happens there, and I'm not exactly sure what, but I don't know if you had any thoughts on that
No,
either.
much like what Margaret said earlier, the size of the class is very different. So it's a really large 5th grade class. And, you know, Mr. Rogan and I have talked about it at length, and the only thing we can liken it to is, you know, the grade level was like a family, and sometimes it works, and sometimes, you know, there are challenging times, and we really worked with the kids. But in the vocal data, it was hard to see it in the numbers, because we really felt like the grade level, you know, cared so deeply for one another, but they also did spend a lot of time together, and like a family, that can be challenging at times. So
For sure. Well, thank you. I appreciate your insight on that. I'm hoping somebody has figured it out.
I know.
Mr. Cutro.
I won't repeat everything, but Mrs. Perdios was spot on a lot of the same sentiments that I have. I also wanted to credit you with the progress on chronic absenteeism, which I saw across the board. You know, it makes a difference and it matters. I wanted to acknowledge what Mr. Rogan said when looking at the vocal data, that you assessed that, you know, the peer-to-peer issues are the issues that you need to look at, because I spotted some of the things that Mrs. Perdios spotted and that you all are already on top of, which, you know, is concerning, but you've got a plan in place and you're working it out. And then the last thing was that I noticed you had a couple of incidents. I know that subsequently we're going to have a discussion in executive session about a variety of different incidents. So I'm looking forward to hearing more on that information. So thank you for the plan and the good work you do.
Thank you, Mr. Guttrow. I don't have any questions either. I mean, it's an incredible community. I'm there a lot, as you know, child pickup. But it is an incredible community. It really is. The teachers are so attentive. You have one of the best paraprofessionals out at that bus that I've ever seen in my life. This lady knows exactly what she's doing, where everybody belongs. It's an amazing thing to see, and how seriously she takes her responsibility. And it's the whole school is like that. It's an amazing place. I agree. I mean, the MCAS data is the MCAS data. I like the MAP data much better. I think things are going very well there. I love the Raising Multicultural Kids, and we did put that, Mrs. Perdios, into teaching and learning, sort of, so we'll make sure we get that presentation, because we need that across the district. We really do, and we need to find ways that we can do it appropriately, and it sounds like a great plan. I'm with Mrs. Hoover. I'd love to read those books. I would love to read them, really. It would be great. But I have chronic absenteeism, great job on that. I mean, people want to be there. People
They
want to be
do.
there. It's a fun place, and it's a learning place, but it is a fun place for all kids. So I'm going to entertain a motion to accept the plan by Mrs. Hoobley, seconded by Mr. Bergoli, and all in favor, aye, and you are all set. Thank you so much for coming in. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming in. It's exciting to have you here presenting your school.
The first one. Thank you for having us. Well, good evening, everyone. It is an honor to be here tonight. Please join me in welcoming Simone Buckley, our incredible special education team administrator at RDLC. Simone, thank you for your dedication and for standing beside our team every step of the way. We are both so proud to share with you the first school improvement plan for the Richter Christopher Learning Center. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Mayor Koch, Superintendent Mulvey, Assistant Superintendent Dr. Perkins, Julie Graham, Director of Special Education, and all of you, members of the school committee, leadership team, who have made this possible. Opening RDLC this year has been an incredible journey. It certainly has been a highlight of my career to witness this building come to life. Your support has been vital in creating a space where every student's individual needs are met with understanding, creativity, and compassion. Our collective efforts create an environment where every child, regardless of their unique needs, can learn, grow, and thrive to reach their full potential in a safe and supportive environment. Thank you for believing in this dream and for working so diligently to make it a reality. Together, we have not just opened a school, we opened the door to new opportunities, hope, and boundless potential for every student who walks through our doors. Our students and families are fortunate to have such a unique opportunity so close to home in our community. I want to take this opportunity to express our heartfelt gratitude to our parents and guardians for trusting us with the education and care of your children. It is a responsibility we hold with great pride. I also want to give a shout out to our extraordinary special staff. Their dedication, compassion, and tireless efforts are the backbone of the success at RDLC. The RDLC staff is the heart of this school, and their commitment to our students is an absolute inspiration. At RDLC, we understand that every student is an individual learner, each with their own unique needs, strengths, and pace of development. We are committed to providing the personalized support necessary for every child to progress and succeed. We recognize that true growth goes beyond academic achievement. While we are committed to supporting our students' educational progress, we also place a strong emphasis on their development in all aspects of their lives. Our focus is to nurture each child's progress towards essential daily living skills, effective communication, and the development of both fine and gross motor skills. Equally important is supporting positive social behavior and fostering meaningful interactions. We believe that their growth is multifaceted and that every step forward deserves to be celebrated. By focusing on the whole child, we create an environment where our students are empowered to reach their fullest potential, not only in the classroom, but in all settings. We have set 3 focus goals as part of our school improvement plan for this year. These goals reflect our commitment to family engagement, student success, and positive behavior interventions. Our first goal is to enhance communication and engagement with families. We recognize that parents and guardians play a crucial role in their children's education, and we are committed to working together to support student success. Through regular updates, parent workshops, and collaborative partnerships, we create a cohesive approach that extends learning and growth beyond the classroom. A few of our engagement initiatives include our fall open house, parent-teacher conferences, teacher weekly communication with their families, and newsletters. We will also be hosting a parent workshop in January focusing on supporting communication in the homes, presented by Simone Buckley and one of our speech therapists, Rachel Archibald. Then in March, families will be invited to a workshop to learn about visual support toolkits to utilize in the home. We are also planning a Touch a Truck event and an end-of-the-year art show for our families. This goal reflects our commitment to ensuring that every family is a valued partner in our community. Our second goal for this year focuses on the implementation of the Unique Learning System curriculum. The Unique Learning System, ULS, is a comprehensive standard-based curriculum specifically designed to support the diverse needs of students. Staff have participated in several trainings to become familiar with the program. Staff have also have worked on creating student profiles to help effectively differentiate curriculum and instructional materials to meet each student's specific learning goals, abilities, needs, goals, and abilities. ULS has built in assessment tools that allow teachers to track progress, set measurable goals, and adjust instruction based on individual growth. A third and final goal is to provide comprehensive behavioral well training for all staff. The WELL is a new program for us this year, and the WELL emphasizes proactive and positive approaches to behavior management. Instead of reacting to behaviors only after they occur, the behavior encourages staff to build a learning environment that anticipates and prevents challenging behaviors through clear expectations and consistent reinforcement. Thank you for all your attention and most importantly for your commitment to our students. This improvement plan represents a collective effort and we're excited to see its impact. At this time, Simone is going to share further details with you regarding the unique learning system and the WELL Behavior Program, and she will also share some highlights from the school year.
Thank you, Carrie. We have been able to work directly with the Unique Learning System staff in order to support our staff to receive initial and ongoing training. All staff have completed their initial benchmark assessment with students. These benchmarks will be reviewed at our data review meetings throughout the year to look at students' individual learning progress. With the Unique Learning System platform, staff are able to assign work to students virtually to be completed individually, on the interactive whiteboard to support small group instruction, or printed out in paper and pencil version if that is the most accessible format for that student. Within the ULS's platform, staff also have access to News to You, which gives classrooms easy access to today's weather and current event articles for students. And staff also have access to Symbol Sticks, which provides staff the opportunity to make custom communication boards and symbols. In regards to WELL, which Carrie stated is our safety management program, staff have received several training sessions from our WELL master trainer, and she has come in to conduct observations and support staff to implement effective strategies in the classroom. We also have created a behavior incident form that incorporates the WELL-specific behavior scale to create consistent language in the school environment. We would like to share a few other moments that we have taken pride in this school year. As a school, we strive to create independence in our students. We were able to get building staff, not just classroom and therapists, but our secretary staff, nurses, security guards, to participate in a trick-or-treating practice where each classroom decorated their own bag and went to different locations in the building and were able to practice skills like knocking on the door, waiting, turn taking, and they were supported with visual lanyards that said trick or treat and thank you that they could turn over. We also had our classrooms participate in a Friendsgiving, where students utilized the life skills room to make a variety of foods and then utilize the cafeteria to eat a meal together. Some students were able to try new foods, which was really exciting. The life skills room in particular has been utilized several times by our middle school students for cooking-related activities. And also, our middle school students were able to take a walking field trip to Taco Bell to work on ordering items and table manners. As you can see from our school improvement plan and just some of the exciting activities happening at the RDLC, we are committed to providing our students with the specialized instruction and support they require. It is truly a privilege to serve our students and families on a daily basis. Thank you for listening, and we are more than happy to answer any questions you may have about the RDLC.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Mr. Gattro? I'm sorry, you have one.
Congratulations on a super exciting year. So everything has been smooth to start? Everything is
It has been, it's been exciting.
been exciting? It's been smooth. It's exciting for us to see no facility or school needs in the school improvement plan. I had a quick question about capacity. It says 45 students. I'm just asking about what the capacity is, how many of the students had been out of, that we sent to other places that are now in district at the Learning Center, and are any out of district from other districts at the Learning Center now? And what's the complete capacity, or is it added?
So currently, right now, we have the 45 students. We have 3 open classrooms for the potential to move additional students into the district. We moved 1 student back from another program. It's been very successful for the pilot this year. The families have been thrilled. We've been working very closely with the family. We potentially have 9 students to come back for next year that we've been working with the team administrator in the special ed office to begin those conversations with the families.
Great, excellent, thank you.
Mrs. Hubley.
Thank you. I was just going to say thank you so much for the presentation. I'm so excited to have you here for your first plan. And this was such a long time in the making to get you guys to be where you are today, that we had talked about the concept of the center for so many years. And then to have you here before us with the plan is just awesome. And I love your engagement, your family engagement piece. I know our special needs families, this means a lot to them, and having the opportunity to have the family engagement, and that means so much to them. And the touch truck is going to be a fabulous event, so I'm excited to go to that.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Mrs. Cahill.
Well, we don't have too many questions yet because we want to see how it goes going forward. But, you know, obviously the facility is amazing, right? But I'm looking at your teacher list, and I know some of these teachers, and it looks like you have an amazing staff too. So with that combination, you know, the combination and the work that you have described here, you know, in the academic side, we expect it to be a great success. And I think, you know, we're all looking forward to see how the year goes and get some reports next year and how everything's going for you. But to my colleagues' points, you know, having this opportunity here in Quincy and not having to send our kids somewhere else is amazing. So thank you for, you know, your leadership, and it looks like you have an amazing situation between the facility and the staff, and can only expect success in the future. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cahill. Mrs. Proteus.
Thank you. Mrs. Cahill forgot that I have 1,000 questions on everything, so I do have some questions. But I do echo her sentiments in that we're really glad that you're here, you're open, the right people seem to be in place in leadership here, and it seems like it's the start of something really great. So starting with that. But I do have a bunch of different questions, mostly because it is the first one, so I just want to make sure I'm clear on some things, and I just have some questions about the future. So my first question is, nowhere in here do we talk about pre-K at all. Are we completely seeing, I know that it's viewed as two schools, but where do they fall? How do you see it? Should it be in here?
So we did separate it. They presented the PIP, the Program Improvement Plan, Larry, last couple weeks ago.
Right.
So we separated it for the purposes, for the two different programs.
Okay, so the plan isn't to,
Yeah, if I could just add that to that, so even in Snug Harbor's plan, we separated it out. So it's all one early childhood program, and so we did that for the RDLC as well.
okay, thank you. So that was my first, thank you for that. I noticed in the schedule that ULS, there's supposed to be a parent academy or parent training or something on ULS that's supposed to be happening in December. Has that happened yet?
We talked about that a little bit going back and forth, and we figured it might be something that we could do a little bit later in the year when we get their first benchmark assessments completed. So all the teachers just about last week and the week before finished their initial benchmark assessments. So it's something when we get all that printed out data that we figured we could share with families and talk about what that means and looks like.
That was my next question. Will families get that data automatically, or will they have to request that data?
It'll be something that we share with them, but again, it's in the context of we want to make sure they know what it is we're sending home. So that's kind of why we want to meet with them and kind of talk about what that looks like and means. But it'll be something that we'll be able to share with them once it's completed.
That'd be great. That's what I was noticing, that the assessments were coming up, and just if families were going to actually understand. So that's great that you're trying to do that in conjunction. Also, having some kind of parent academy on the well behavior program, has that happened yet? So families understand the concepts behind that?
We haven't done anything in regards to family for the well. I mean, it's something that we could do just so that they incorporate the principles or understand kind of how it's going. We just need to make sure it's separate from like not training the parents in well, just to differentiate the two so they know what it's like, but we don't want to make them think we're training them in that program, if that makes sense.
Right, for sure. I just want them to be sure, understand what's happening in the building, where it's new, just what their kiddos are going to see, because it's different than any other building here.
Yes.
So, for sure. So just making sure that we're including parents on a lot of that stuff as it's going forward. Kind of also on the parent track.
Sorry, I can also
Oh,
add
go
to
ahead,
the
I'm sorry.
newsletter, just some information, basic information, because we do share the information with, for the newsletter as well as handing out handouts to the families as well.
Gotcha, thank you, sorry. parent engagement activities, does it feel like maybe with this particular group of students that there could be even more opportunities for families to come in and be part of it instead of just getting a newsletter or kind of hearing a presentation, but more, you were mentioning like the life skills where some of the students created a meal, that type of stuff. It feels like there'd be a lot of opportunity for families to maybe come in and engage a little bit more, and they may value that because maybe at the out-of-district placement facilities, maybe that is something that's part of their program. Is there any plan to kind of make families a little more part of that, or?
Yes, and we also have invited parents, and even when they request, they've come in to observe like therapy sessions, so on an individual basis, we've been working through that. I think right now, just with the population, it is really hard to have the parents come into the building right now because some of the students get so upset. But yes, but we're working really closely with the CPAC as well to make sure that we include all their events with our families.
Thank you. And you're leading my question to the next one, like this is perfect. Is there a plan for a PAC, or does a PAC specific for the, or like a PTO for the RDLC, or is the CPAC sort of the PAC or PTO for?
We've invited the CPAC to be members of. We are definitely trying to expand on our PTO. We have preschool representation now, as well as some parents, but just having such a small group, so working through the community, we definitely is something that we want to continue to expand on and to increase our PTO involvement and to get it up and running.
Yeah, that's great. And I know PTOs can be a great source of like fundraising and different things that CPAC, they're kind of got their own goals of, you know, advocacy to work on. So I just was curious if so that sounds great. Mr. Guttrow asked my questions about expanded enrollment. So we brought one out-of-district student back with 9, hopefully, or 9 cases we're looking at for next year.
Yeah, I do just want to add, though, in addition to the one student that we brought back that was in and out of district placement, there was probably a good 15 students that we did not send to out of district placement. So I just want to be clear, because I think that can be a little deceiving that we had students that would have gone otherwise if this program had not existed. They were absolutely on the track to go to an out of district placement. So
Thank
so,
you for that
yes.
point. Yeah, no, thank you for that. That's what I was trying to kind of figure out, was to figure out if, how many we're really impacting by keeping, you know, improving the family's experience by keeping them here in Quincy. So that's great to know that there's so many more. And will we see incident data for the RDLC as well in the executive session when we look at the incident data for all the schools?
We don't, I mean, I can talk to these guys. We don't have that. The incident data that we're sharing with you is the incident data that's reported through the SSDR report, which is not available yet for the RDLC because it's a new school. But I certainly can get some, I mean, I have a pretty good idea on some of the incidences, but I can certainly get some updates and like kind of share with you what we have so far, although it's not, you know, necessarily official data.
Gotcha. And the last thing I had was just a suggestion. Culinary at Quincy High. I don't know if there's a good link to, you know, I know you mentioned that they went over to Taco Bell, but maybe a good partnership that maybe there's a way those programs could work together, like the life skills and some of the VOTEC programs at the high schools. It might be a great partnership in the future. So just maybe just some idea on the horizon. But great job, and thank you for all. Like I said, I was going to have a million questions, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Perdios. I don't have any questions. I'm so excited to see, I love your goals. I love that first one being family engagement. It's the most important thing we can do for this population, is make sure those families understand the kind of care and attention and compassion that they're getting from you and your staff. So I think that's really, I think it's wonderful. And we'll keep lots of kids in district, and so much better for them. It's so much better for them to be here instead of riding on a bus for 2 hours a day, whatever, you know. I think just to be in their community is wonderful. And yeah, I think I love your goals. I don't know that much about ULS, but I almost wish we had it for all curriculum.
Yes, it's
So
wonderful.
it could differentiate for all kids in every school. Maybe somebody will come up with that soon. Yeah, and I'd be interested in the well-based stuff too, because I'm still not sure what that is myself, but so it's sort of like ABA,
No, so I don't know. So in a lot of our districts in the school, you might hear CPI, crisis prevention intervention. So it's a different form of the safety management protocol. So it's got similar concepts, but just different principles. Like a lot of it is based on the entire building, so not just like classroom staff. So even like secretary, security, custodial, have all seen bits and pieces of the training. Now, there's only certain points that they may be trained up to, but everybody has common language, consistent approach, so it really makes like a cohesive team approach with it, which is good.
It's just amazing. I'm so grateful for the mayor because I'm just so grateful for the mayor. We would not have gotten this, not only using city funds, but also the recovery funds, and really got this. I really am so grateful for him, for our families, that he can do this. So, motion to accept the plan by Mrs. Hoopley, seconded by Mr. Bergoli. All in favor? Aye, you're all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emma.
Motion to adjourn.